Welcome to the Coach's Corner here live from the Tivoli Tap House. I'm your host, John Kietzmann, going to take you through tonight's fun-filled activities. So we have a jam-packed lineup tonight. We start off with head coach for our baseball team, Ryan Strain. We're going to talk about the upcoming baseball season. We're going to talk to head men's basketball coach, Michael Bahl, about the 4-game winning streak they're on. We're also going to discuss some great scoring from senior guard Peter Moller. Peter Moller scored his 1,000th career point over this past weekend, so a lot of good stuff coming up here at the Coach's Corner. But before we get into all that, we're going to hit the highlights from this past weekend. We'll start off with the men's basketball team. The Roadrunners came away with a couple of victories at home. First, they took down the Mavericks from Colorado Mesa by 20 points. Senior guard Peter Moller, who's going to be on the show later, led the way with a season-high 19 points. The Roadrunners combined for 15 three-pointers en route to the win. The following night, the Roadrunners would jump all over Western State. MSU Denver built a 25-point lead with 14 minutes to go, but the Mountaineers would claw their way back and reduce the Roadrunners' lead to only 5 points with 44 seconds remaining. A steal by Peter Moller would lead to a traditional three-point play by Jaron Taylor, and he would seal the win with an 84-75 victory. Coach Bahl and his squad are now 10-3 in the RMAC and sitting in third place in the standings. Moving on to women's basketball, despite a season-high 16 points from senior guard Michaela Gordon, it was Colorado Mesa who came away with the 70-62 win over MSU Denver on Friday night. The Mavericks built a 29-16 lead at the half, and it was too much for the Roadrunners to overcome. But Coach Tanya Have's squad would rebound on Saturday night following an outstanding performance from Georgia Ordorf. She topped all scores with a game-high 23 points in the 69-61 victory over Western State. Freshman center Losaliani Katya had a career night coming off of the bench, scoring 8 points and grabbing 4 rebounds. The Roadrunners are now 9-4 in RMAC play and are tied for third place in the conference standings. Moving from the basketball court to the indoor track, head coach Janice Christopher took her squad to Golden to compete in the Colorado School of Mines Twilight Classic. Freshman Michael DK won the 200-meter dash, breaking the tape in a time of 23.18 seconds. He would also place second in the 60-meter dash. Junior Saeed Moreno would also win his event by crossing the line first in the 400-meter dash with a time of 51.22 seconds. On the women's side, sophomore Sabrina Rauter placed third in the 800-meter run, and senior Erica Ruiz finished third in the mile. For more results from the meet, be sure to check out roadrunnersathletics.com. And now we welcome in head baseball coach Ryan Strain. Ryan, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Coach, it seems like only yesterday you were just getting started with the program, but now you're only 12 days out from the season starting. How's the squad looking?
It's looking good. I mean, I'm really excited about our group of guys. I mean, the good part with the transition is I have quite a few guys that are returning from last year, so that makes it easy on me, you know, to kind of what to expect. But they're working hard, and fortunately we've been outside every time we've been out to practice except for today, so you know, to be able to take advantage of the weather so far.
So you told us the last time you were on the show that you were going to adjust the style of play that the Roadrunners have been used to seeing. So how has that adjustment been going, and have the players adjusted to that new style of play?
I think so. I mean, I think they really like it. I think it's fun for them. You know, it's been a challenge just trying to teach that way of play. And I thought we really, by the end of the fall, we really had it kind of where I wanted to be. And then, you know, as you come back, you don't see them for 6 weeks, and then you start doing it again. But again, being able to be outside allows us to continue to work on those things. And I would say one of the real positives so far this fall or this spring is how we've been running the bases and the pressure we've been putting on. So I think they took what we, you know, talked about in this fall, and they brought it into the spring. So it's gone real well so far.
So you mentioned that today you were actually inside for practice, and this last weekend we had a couple of inches in snow here in the Mile High City. But you know, what does it really mean to have the complex of the Regency Athletic Complex where you have that turf field? I mean, what kind of an advantage does that play for you?
It's a huge advantage. I mean, the fact that we've been able since we started January 10th to be outside, I think 9 straight days, and then when it did snow, it usually melts pretty quickly. I mean, even with the snow today, we'll be inside today, and then hopefully there's a good chance we'll be able to get outside tomorrow. So being able to do that is a huge advantage. I mean, Nebraska Kearney's coming in here in a couple weeks, and I don't even know if they've been outside yet. So to be able to have that advantage and be able to get out and work with our guys so that we're ready to play has been huge. And when they built that complex, that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to come back here.
Well, so speaking of the guys, I mean, really the team functions with the guys and starts and ends there. So you being the first-year coach, I know we're going to have a lot of local fans that are going to come out to see the local boy done good, if you will. So when you start looking at the roster, who are the players that we should be looking at to really highlight and say, these are going to be some players this year?
Well, I think because we have so many returning players, a lot of the fans will realize and understand a lot of the same guys that have been back. But I think, it starts with our seniors. I mean, Cale O'Donnell will be back at first base, Trent Maloney at third base, and Donnie Ortiz at second base. Those are three guys that played a lot last year and started. And then in the outfield with Hunter Donaldson and Sean Kennedy, guys that have played a lot. So we have five guys that have really, played most of their career, started most of their career. And we've lost, we lost center field, shortstop, and catcher will all be new guys. But, the bulk of the lineup is back, and so that's something that I'm really excited about. And then, on the pitching side with Javi Vega being back on the rotation, and then Beecher Struby as well. Both those guys will throw at some point during the weekend. So having, like I said earlier in the show, is having guys that have been back and have done it before has been a real advantage for us and the coaching staff moving forward.
Well, you mentioned the pitching staff of the returners, and that's definitely a huge part of the game. Offensively, you talked about kind of that 1 through 6 slot, and really there's not many people that are going to stack up with the Roadrunners in that area. But now let's look at defensively. You mentioned defensively, you did lose your starting shortstop, and there's a couple other starters that were staples in that lineup for a long time, including your catcher Marcus Bean and Jake Thurston at short. So defensively, how does the Roadrunners look coming into this season?
All right. Well, like I said, I mean, when you're going to lose guys, we lost our catcher, our shortstop, and our center fielder. That's three big pieces that you lose. But the guys are going to have a chance to come in there. We'll step in, and I think we'll do a really good job. I mean, Draven Adame and Jake Astaitis behind the plate. They're both junior college transfers that have played 2 years in college. So I think they'll be able to step in and handle the pitching staff. And at shortstop with Aaron Dammel and Jimmy Hollinger, who's a new player, a freshman. Those two guys have been playing most of the reps at shortstop. So I think one of them will step in and be able to do the job. And then Aaron Germanian and Logan Sewell, who's a new kid that is a kind of an interesting story, that played professional for a while and then was able to come back and play for us. So I think one of those guys will be out in center field. So I feel good about replacing the three guys we lost and then having, like you said, the rest of them returners. So I feel pretty good about that too.
Well, so kind of transitioning to some new additions to the team. Saturday night at the men's basketball game, you had a new addition to the team. Can we talk a little bit about Trey Siradsky, excuse me, make sure I get his name correct. But so Trey joining the program here as part of the Friends of Jacqueline program. So can you fill us in a little bit on what that is? Yeah,
I got a call one day just out of the blue on my cell phone. A guy named Mike DeSimone called me and said, hey, you don't know me, but I know some people that know you. And I have this organization that I've worked with before, Friends of Jacqueline, and he had been, with some girls softball, had adopted some kids from this program before, and he said, I got a friend of ours that just got diagnosed with cancer, and they're kind of going through a lot, and he's a baseball player at Mullen High School, and I don't even know if they're going to want to do this or not, but I just wanted to ask you first if you'd be interested in adopting and getting involved in the program. And so we talked about it. He sent me over some information, and I thought it was a no-brainer from the beginning, and we just tried to realize when we could do it and when the perfect time would be to adopt Trey. And this weekend worked out great, and our players, I couldn't be more happy for the way that they did things this weekend, and I think it really helped Trey, and we're looking forward to having him to practice in the games, and as much as he wants to be there, we'll let him have him.
With the season rapidly approaching, your squad filled out now with the addition of Trey, if you will. You've got 3 series here to start the year at home. How big of an advantage is that to have the scheduling to play at home those first 3 series of the year?
It's a huge advantage. I mean, I think this is my 13th year coaching, and I've never opened up at home before. So it's going to be a little new for me to have that opportunity. But, to be able to be outside and used to our field and then having the teams that are coming in from somewhere else, I think it gives us an advantage and allows our guys to, work together. And we're excited about it. I mean, being at home, and hopefully the weather cooperates with us and we're able to play some good baseball.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time with us. It's going to be a fun season, I think, going forward.
That sounds good. We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Well, and with that, we're going to talk a little bit about our tweet of the week. And, of course, the tweet of the week has to come from the Roadrunners baseball staff and their team, talking about the signing of Trey in the Friends of Jacqueline program. Really can't have a better story than that. It speaks to exactly what it means to be a part of college athletics and really reminds you of what we're doing this all for. So, tweet of the week from Roadrunners Baseball. It's going to be a good one. Be sure to follow us online at Metro ST Sports. That's on Twitter, and you can get all of the action right there. So we're going to come back here, and we're going to talk a little bit more with our basketball coach and Michael Bahl, and we're going to talk some hoops here when we come back on the Coach's Corner.
I'm Kyle Lawson, senior guard from the men's basketball team.
Pulled an upset against Regis, and that shot up a good Kyle Lawson coming off the bench.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
I'm Shane Fox, senior guard from the men's basketball team.
10 seconds on that shot clock. Jackson, great feed, but blocked. Shane Fox coming up with the swat.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner here from the Tivoli Tap House, where we've got some great beer and great food, and there's really not a better place to enjoy a nice cold one. So we've got a number of things coming up here. We're going to visit with head men's basketball coach Michael Bahl shortly, but I want to make sure that you know about the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers games here coming up this Saturday. So this Saturday from 6 to 9 o'clock at the Tivoli Tap House, we've got a number of games, free admission. There's going to be a mechanical bull. That's the big one. That's the one I'm looking forward to. We've also got a number of other games like a fly casting game, some backpacking. It's really going to be a good time here for the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers Olympics here at the Tivoli Tap House. It's going to be catered by Little Red's Kitchen, so you're definitely going to want to stop by here this Saturday night. And now we're going to bring on head men's basketball coach Michael Bahl. Michael, welcome.
Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
Michael, mechanical bulls. I mean, I love them.
I'm looking forward to it.
And why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't I? Yeah, you're exactly right. Me and you're going to tear it up.
Exactly. Now, Coach, you've had a very big homestand going on here. You've had 4 games in a row. This last weekend, you won 2 more. You're riding a 4-game winning streak. So can you talk to us a little bit to start off here about what that 4-game winning streak is like right now?
Well, we talked about earlier in the season that, you know, the home games are coming. The way our schedule was put together, we're backloaded with home games. And it's actually working out to our favor in terms of, you know, playing our best basketball at home. You know, so I think that's the biggest thing is just getting a chance to play in front of our home crowd. You know, and having 4 home games in a row really does help. And I thought our guys did a great job of coming out and competing and just playing Roadrunner basketball. You know, so it was really good to see.
So the first game of this past weekend, you played against Colorado Mesa. Colorado Mesa, you faced them already earlier in the season on their home floor. You defeated them. You know they're going to come out with revenge on their mind. But your team jumped out. They stepped on them early and really didn't take the foot off the gas pedal in that game.
Yeah, no, I thought, again, I mean, I actually like playing teams multiple times. You know, you built those internal little games. We didn't feel we played our best at their place. We felt we actually got away with one, and that's just not a good feeling to have. You know, I'm glad we won, but it's one of those games where hopefully we can learn our lesson off a win. And we did. We came out and we knew what we needed to do. We were very poor in our defensive transition the first time we played them. We gave up 78 points. In our opinion, we're not the type of team that can be really giving up that many points. So we did a much better job of just the little things, getting back in transition and making them actually score baskets over our defense. And I thought our guys did a great job of just battling and just competing.
Well, so speaking of the battling and competing, your shots were falling on Friday night, and you had 15 made 3-point baskets, and typically not necessarily your strategy going into the game, but when it starts going, I mean, is that just contagious for the guys, and they just start shooting?
Yeah, no, I think it is. A lot of it is, I mean, it's our style of play. You know, we would prefer to get a layup or a free throw every time down the floor. You know, but we also tell our guys that the next most important shot is an uncontested 3, and we encourage our guys to shoot. You know, it's just we just don't happen to shoot the threes a whole ton. But I think we do have good shooters. If you're in practice every day, we have guys that can shoot the basketball. And I think it is contagious, like you said. Once you get that first one to go in, all of a sudden the hoop just gets a little bit bigger, and then, guys start, making shots. And Shane Fox opened it up with us with a big 3 to start the game off.
Well, so speaking of guys that can make shots, our other guest tonight is going to be Peter Moller, and Peter definitely was making some shots over this last go-around. He's had kind of an up-and-down season when it comes to scoring, but I know he's a team leader. So can you speak a little bit to his leadership style and what he does even when he's not scoring?
Yeah, no, I think that's his greatest attribute is what he does when he is not scoring the basketball. It's on the defensive side that we really try to make a huge emphasis, and we typically try to put Peter on the other team's better players. He does a great job. He understands the game. He's a big, strong, physical kid. So those things do pay off, and I think the shots that he got, the shots that he was getting all season are the same ones he got this weekend. It just so happened that he, finally started seeing that ball go through the net. And as a shooter, coming from a shooter, I was a shooter. When you start seeing that ball go through the net, it does wonders for your confidence. And we've told Peter all year that, shoot the shot that you're open. By no means don't ever get gun shy because you're shooting the right shots.
So you go from the Friday night win now, and you go to the Saturday game, and you play Western State, who has had some big wins on the year. But again, your team jumps out to that big early lead, and everybody's firing on all cylinders. Cam Williams is hitting from the outside, and Jaron Taylor's doing his thing down low. From a coaching standpoint, what is that like when everybody's hitting and things are going just totally in sync?
It's really nice to watch and see, honestly.
It's nice as a fan, too.
I sat there and I said, okay, this finally makes sense. And no, but I think it just goes to the hard work the guys are putting in. That's what where we started the season to where we are now, I think there's been a dramatic improvement. And I think it's only going to get better. We're going to have a film session here in about an hour where we're going to clean up some things because we still had other areas we need to get better at. Our execution needs to be better. But I think it goes back to our shot selection. Our guys are very unselfish. We don't shoot bad shots. You really don't see our guys shoot a lot of contested shots. We're either on the basket getting a layup or we're throwing the ball out to get a 3. So I think they're buying into our philosophy. And, we're shooting the ball 4 feet from the rim, so you're typically going to make more. But again, credit to the guys for, putting the hard work in during practice and, and seeing it pay off during the game.
So now as we kind of look forward here, you start talking about that rest of that game and the things that you needed to clean up. You got up by 25 there in the second half, and then all of a sudden, as the half wears on, it gets to a 5-point game with less than a minute to go. So clearly, you still had some control of the game and the control of the outcome, but I know that there were things down that stretch that you wanted to clean up.
Yeah. I think when you have to learn to play with a lead, just like you have to learn to play when you're down, and those are all good things to have. But I think our guys, we exhaled. We had an edge to us. Then I think after halftime, we built that 25-point lead with about 12 minutes left. And I think you could see with our demeanor defensively, there's a big exhale. Beauchamp, the kid they have, had 29 on us, and we know what he is. That's just unacceptable. To all of a sudden he gets the easier shots towards the end of the game because I think we just exhaled. Then obviously our Achilles heel as of right now is free throws. It's the elephant in the room. We see it when you shoot. 8 for 21, and you still win by 9. It's, you're playing with fire.
Yeah.
And our guys know that, and they're willing to put the work in, and we are putting the work in. And I think it's the same thing. Once the first person goes up and misses one, it becomes contagious.
Yeah.
So I thought we did overall a good job of finishing the game out because we could have easily gone the other way.
Well, so speaking of finishing the game out, what did you say to the team as you were getting into those timeouts down the stretch? What was going on in the huddle?
Make some free throws. Now, the biggest thing was, and I asked Jaron, I asked Peter, I said, man, no one's trying to miss a free throw here.
Yeah.
The last thing we can do is start going down that road of negativity because it trickles down to our defense. If we get a stop and miss a free throw, then it equals itself out.
Right.
It's the fact that they were scoring, they were getting layups, and then we're missing free throws. So we just try to hunker down defensively, and I have ultimate faith in our guys. We have ultimate faith that we're going to knock down free throws when we needed to, and we actually got a stop, which really helped us when Enrique Cortez sort of reached in there, got a steal, and that sort of stopped the bleeding, and then Shane Fox makes 2 big free throws for us.
Perfect, Coach. And you come off of that win. Now you've got one more home game here before you go on the road. Can you tell us a little bit what it's like having to coach through 3 games in a 5-day span?
Yeah, no, it's it's tough, you know, especially being a first-time head coach. You're trying to, you know, you're not trying to kill the guys, because, I mean, I have that edge 2 meeting too. I mean, we're starting to play some good basketball, but I think it's just taking a break and just doing what we've been doing all year. You know, watch film. You know, Monday's a typical Monday. We lifted this morning. We watch film. We try to improve on ourselves first, because I firmly believe that I'm more worried about us. You know, UCCS is a great opponent. Coach Culver does a phenomenal job down there. We have a great rivalry going, but we need to take care of Metro State first. You know, I think if we do the things we're supposed to do, then, you know, we should take care. We should do what we have to do tomorrow night. But again, I mean, we have a tough competition ahead of us, but we just try to fix ourselves first.
Well, Coach, good luck tomorrow night. Hope for nothing but the best for you, and as you finish up this last little homestand.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Coach, so thank you for joining us for Michael Bahl, and we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to the latest career 1,000th point scorer, senior guard Peter Moller. We'll be back on the Coach's Corner.
I pledge.
I pledge. I pledge.
Here at MSU Denver.
To stop sexual harassment.
To identify situations
in which sexual assault may occur.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
It's on us.
All of us.
To get a friend home safely.
It's on us to be a part of the solution.
And not part of the problem.
Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
I'm Janae Squires-Horton, senior guard for the women's basketball team.
Squires-Horton swishes the long 2, and it's a 3-point lead.
When you're watching the Coach's Corner, get rowdy.
I'm Georgia Ordorf, senior forward for the women's basketball team.
And now it's Georgia Ordorf driving to the rim and gets another easy layup.
And you're watching the Coach's Corner. Get rowdy.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner here from the Tivoli Tap House. Let's talk a little Roadrunner rewards before we get going in with senior guard Peter Moller. You can visit Roadrunner Rewards and download the app on the Apple iStore or on the Android store. Be sure to download that. You'll earn prizes for just checking into events at Roadrunners Athletics. Roadrunner Rewards, that's the best way to get your gear on. Get your gear on with Roadrunner Rewards. Download it from the Apple iStore or from the Google Store. Now we're joined by senior guard Peter Moller. Peter, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Peter, you know, I know you're from Denmark, and I know you took off over the holiday break here and went home for a little bit. Clearly it's done some good for you. You came back and you recharged. A little home cooking filled you up and got you going?
I guess so. I mean, to be honest, it's always nice to get back home, especially when you're on the other side of the Atlantic. So it was good to be back home, and it also gave me a little boost and a little energy to come back and, you know, play a little better maybe.
Well, I'll tell you what, if that's what it takes, we're going to send you home every weekend, because right now, this last weekend, you really had a great weekend. You had 19 on Friday night against Colorado Mesa and another 18 on Saturday against Western State, and you eclipsed the 1,000th point mark in your career when you combine Liberty and your time here at MSU Denver. What does it mean to you to eclipse that 1,000-point mark?
I mean, it's kind of weird because, I mean, it's just a milestone or whatever, but I'm very honored and very happy I got it, because it's somehow I leave my mark in that way. I mean, get into history books and my name is not completely forgotten here at Metro. So it means a lot, and also just representing my family, representing Denmark. It is actually big to having a player from Denmark doing that. It's a very small country, so just by having me doing that is actually noticed back home. So yeah.
Well, it's a great mark in your collegiate career, and you know, looking at this weekend in particular, you really had things kind of going, especially when you're hitting running three-pointers from going out of bounds on Friday night to a half, not quite a half quarter, but almost, yeah. a buzzer beater, we'll put it that way. When you start making some stuff, you know, and we talked with this a little about with Michael. When things start going in, it seems like everybody starts hitting. And is it just a contagious feeling when things start happening like that?
That's just how basketball is, to be honest. I mean, once you get going, and that's how you see players get on the streak. It's kind of like when you get the confidence and you start making a shot, then you make another one, and you just feel like you can't miss. And I guess that's what happened to the whole team this weekend. I mean, we just confident boost, and everybody just, you know, sharing the ball, hitting wide open shots, and we just played with confidence this weekend.
Well, I know that things go pretty quickly, and Coach has a very short memory and doesn't celebrate too long from one game to the next, and you've got a game against UCCS coming up here tomorrow night. But let's talk a little bit about the end of that game against Western State here on Saturday, because you were up by so much, 25, and then a little by a little got closer and closer. But you were able to convert a couple of free throws, even though it wasn't all of them. You made a couple of them down the stretch that gave you, well, that gave you a little bit of an edge, right? So what is it like when you go to the line, when you know that the game is starting to get tight like that? What goes through your head?
I mean, obviously you feel some type of pressure because you have to make them. That's kind of the pressure you put on yourself. It was kind of weird because I was at the line 8 times in the last minute, I think, and I felt like every shot was going in, but it's only half of them. So sometimes you feel nervous, sometimes you don't. This weekend I didn't feel nervous, but it didn't work out.
Well, you know what, though? You made the ones that needed to be made and ultimately came away with the victory, right?
Yeah.
So now looking forward here, I know you had mentioned to Eric Lansing earlier at one point that you felt like you've had kind of an up and down season.
Yeah.
So now looking here at the second half of the conference season and getting ready for the playoffs, what are you doing to get geared up for this last stretch run?
I mean, obviously the 2 games I had this weekend helped me doing that. Just building some confidence. I feel like, I don't know what's been so up and down this year with me, but I've seen myself just, I'll say averaging a decent amount of points, but I could definitely do some more. I mean, get above 15 or something like that. And but it's just about shooting with confidence and just in general be more confident, because I've been a little hesitant, I think, in some of the games, and that's why my shooting percentage haven't been the way I wanted it to be.
Well, so, you know, basketball isn't everything, so that's the good news, right? And you are a student athlete here, student coming first. So let's talk a little bit about what your degree is in, and then what are you looking to do when you get out of school here?
So my degree is global business studies. I love the global aspect, the international aspect. I have traveled a lot, been to a lot of different countries, so that side of it, I love that. After I'm done here, I actually have a lot of options already. I'm just not sure what it's going to be. But it's going to be professional basketball for sure. I know that's going to happen. It's just if I'm going to combine it with a master or if I'm just going to focus on only playing basketball for a little, then we'll see about that.
Well, I know that, you know, the student life and the studying, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a quick turnaround this week, and you're playing 3 games in 5 days. So what is that like as a player, going from game to game? You get a day off, and then you're practicing, and then you got another game.
It's kind of crazy. I was just talking to, I think it was Kyle about it. Just, you play one game, and then you kind of just forget about it, and then you have the next one. I think we played Highlands 2 weeks ago, but it feels like it was this weekend. That's how fast it goes. So it's kind of crazy, just, you know, how the days just flying by here in college.
Well, Peter, hopefully everything works out well for you tomorrow night against UCCS. We wish you nothing but the best of luck. Feel free to score point number 1100 if you'd like.
I appreciate that, John. Thank you.
Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get you out of here for the Coach's Corner tonight, we want to make sure that we go over the upcoming week in Roadrunners athletics. We just talked about the basketball games for the men's and women's teams. They're playing UCCS on Tuesday night. Women tip at 5 o'clock and the men tip at 7:30. That 7:30 tip is going to be broadcast on Comcast CET Sports. So be sure to tune in if you're not going to make it to the Auraria Event Center live and in person. And don't forget that the Roadrunners will take to the road on Friday against Westminster. They're going to face the Griffins in Salt Lake City. The game times are at 5:30 and 7:30, and you can get all of the links to live stats online at roadrunnersathletics.com, and you can also watch the game live streamed right there. But that's not all. The indoor men's and women's track teams, they're going to hit the road as well. They're heading to the Colorado School of Mines Division II Invitational over in Golden. Those dates are going to be on Friday the 26th and on Saturday the 27th. So be sure to stop by Golden if you're in the neighborhood and cheer on the Roadrunners as they take to the indoor track. We'd like to thank all of our guests tonight: Ryan Strain from the baseball team, Michael Bahl from men's basketball, and our own Peter Moller right here. Thank him for joining us tonight. We appreciate all that you have done. And thank you for watching from your home or your office. Be sure to follow us online at roadrunnersathletics.com. We'll see you next time on the Coach's Corner.